Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the March 3rd, 2022 council meeting. Councilmember Bunker is a bit under the weather, so he will not be joining us this evening. I would ask all of you to stand for the invocation given by Pastor Steve Kreloff of Lakeside Community Chapel and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Lord, first of all, we want to thank you for our country, for the democracy that it is. And we're grateful that we can have a meeting like this where council members can hear from constituents and we have those freedoms. We do pray that they will continue. We pray, Lord, for the dear people of Ukraine and what they're going through. We pray that you would bring about a ceasefire soon. We pray that those who were caught in all of this might turn to you and seek you as a refuge. So we also, Lord, pray for all of the council members to have wisdom as they hear issues and people, and we ask that you would give them an understanding heart for all these issues. This we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Kreloff. We appreciate you coming out. We certainly do want to keep the Ukrainian people in our prayers. Let me introduce the dais. On my far right is City Manager John Jennings.
Good evening.
Vice Mayor Hamilton.
Good evening.
Councilmember Albritton.
Good evening.
Councilmember Beckman.
Good evening.
And our City Attorney David Margolis.
Good evening.
We're going to start out with a proclamation, and I would ask if Roberta Clark could come forward for the...
And everybody. Bring them all.
Yes, everybody.
Bring them all.
And please introduce all your board members that you have with you.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Roberta Clark. I'm president of the Clearwater Arts Alliance. And I have with me our board members, Maria Cantonis, Beth Daniels, Marlene McMillan, and Jay Hinson. So thank you.
Thank you for being here, ladies, and all you do. Whereas the study of art leads to a fuller, more meaningful life, and whereas art education provides substantial educational benefits to elementary, middle, and secondary students through the foundations of creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities, and whereas art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities, and gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. And whereas our national leaders, the National Arts Education Association, the Pinellas County Arts for a Complete Education Council, and the Clearwater Arts Alliance acknowledge the necessity of including art experiences in all students' education. Now therefore, I, Frank V. Hibbert, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2022 to be Youth Arts Month in Clearwater and encourage all citizens to support quality arts in our schools and experience the arts in their daily lives.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this acknowledgement of March is Youth Arts Month. It's probably one of the most important months at the Clearwater Arts Alliance because we have our K-8 art exhibition at the Creative Pinellas facility. And so this Sunday we are acknowledging we're acknowledging the students that perform quite well in arts, and their parents come, and it's probably one of the highlights of our year, giving honor to these fantastic art students in our area. So I encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the exhibit. And can I pass out a few things to you guys? Okay, so the other thing that I just wanted to mention is that on the third Saturday of every month, we have an art walk in downtown Clearwater. And we are getting...
It's because you really do infuse art throughout our community. If you see the utility boxes, you've done a marvelous job with all of those around the city and helping with our youth. And I also want to recognize Christopher Hubbard, who really is our liaison, and a lot we can get done without Christopher. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, proclamation.
Oh,
Watch the rise there.
I know. That was a little future.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Next, I'd ask if there are any amendments to the minutes of the February 17, 2022 meeting.
Move approval of the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time, I'd like to open it up to citizens to be heard, to speak on any item that is not on the agenda. We do ask that you fill out a comment card, state your name for the record, and respectfully, we ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Jennings, Mr. Margolis, and staff. My name is Rudolph Michaelek. I live at 855 Bayway Boulevard, Clearwater Beach, known as Clearwater Point. During the last year, 2 lawsuits brought by neighbors of our community, Clearwater Point, have been mentioned on several city venues, as well as at the last council meeting. I should note that one of the lawsuits regarding the 27 units granted for the chart house addressed the issue of a potential conflict of interest by a council member, which has been overlooked in discussion. In that lawsuit, the judge said, petitioner did not allege these ethical conflicts at the public hearing. As such, he is barred from raising the argument before this court. So the judgment on the lawsuit was on a technicality, and no decision was made as to whether there was or was not a conflict of interest. A lesson in information we learned too late. But what caused the action lawsuit? The origin of the issue began in November of 2017 when 3 corporations signed affidavits of ownership that their agent of record representative was Catherine Cole. Signing one affidavit was Dennis D'Annunzio. The signer of the other 2 was Kenneth Hamilton. The officers of one of those 2 corporations included Kenneth, Wade, Dale, and Hoyt Hamilton. With those affidavits, Ms. Cole submitted their application for 35 density reserve units, eliminating all the units in the reserve. The city assigned the file number of HDA 2017-12002. Fast forward to October 1st, 2018, when Joe Burdett sent an email to the city stating, Mr. Dustin D'Annunzio, as the managing member of Historic Palm Pavilion LLC, has directed me as his owner's representative to withdraw HDA 2017-12002, 10 Bay Esplanade, and release 35 units into the hotel density reserves. Attorney Brian Ungst Jr. was copied on this email. That same day, an application was submitted by Brian Ungst Jr. for Decade Properties Chart House Hotel and 27 of the 35 units. A coincidence. For your information, there is no record of an affidavit by Mr. Dustin D'Annunzio naming Joe Burdett as his owner's representative, as I believe the city requires. Nor was Historic Palm Pavilion one of the original corporations requesting the 35 units. However, neither Mr. Burdett's email nor Decade Properties application was challenged by city staff. In February 2019, the then City Council voted 3-2 to grant Decade 27 units, with Council Member Hoyt Hamilton being a deciding vote. These are some of the facts that led to that lawsuit, and I thank you. I just wanted to share that information.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, everybody. 14 months ago, I addressed this council from this
Could you just
podium.
state your name?
Oh, my apologies. Aaron Smith Levin, 1615 Harvard. 14 months ago, I addressed this council from this podium about how David Miscavige was dragging his feet on land swap negotiations with the city because he was trying to harm the quality of an RFP the city was putting out to develop 3 city-owned lots near Coachman Park. I explained why Miscavige and the Flag Land Base, as a matter of policy, will oppose, overtly or covertly, any development intended to bring non-Scientologists back to our downtown core. The city's RFP went out, and development negotiations resulting from that RFP eventually failed, but that process will restart soon. When Mr. Jennings was hired as our new city manager, the land swap negotiations with Miscavige restarted and are still ongoing. The development of Clearwater's bluff properties are essential for the success of Imagine Clearwater. And before that, Clearwater voters will never vote yes on a development project on the bluff if they suspect that Scientology is involved with those projects, or even if they think Scientology is the only one who will benefit from those projects. which is why it boggles my mind that members of this council continue to remain silent, while certain individuals create the impression in the press that the city has entered into a partnership with David Miscavige and Scientology to redevelop our downtown core. On February 17th, an article appeared in the Tampa Bay Times with a headline, "Clearwater Scientology Leaders Reach Agreement on Downtown Projects." Now, in this article, there are quotes from Mr. John Jennings, Mr. Scott Dobbins, and Miscavige's agent, Mr. Ben Shaw, that when read in the context of the article, definitely seem to indicate that at least these people think there's a partnership between Clearwater and Scientology. When you read the details of the article that Tracy wrote, there is nothing in that article to support that conclusion. Developing your own properties is not a partnership. The only council member quoted in the article who said the city should not partner with Scientology was Mr. Bunker. The success of Imagine Clearwater would mean the success of our downtown core. The success of Imagine Clearwater is dependent upon the successful development of Clearwater's other properties on the bluff. The bluff properties will never be developed without the trust of our citizens, our voters. And our citizens do not trust Scientology. And on the subject of Scientology, our citizens do not trust this city council. If Imagine Clearwater is going to succeed, the council needs to regain that trust. When is the council going to stop letting David Miscavige and his agents dictate the narrative surrounding downtown Clearwater and Scientology? It is my hope that in 2 weeks, on March 15th, on Election Day, that narrative will finally change. Thank you.
Anyone else for citizens to be heard?
Absolutely. I'd like to enlighten. I'm Jerry McGuire. I live at 1100 Turner Street. I'm still trying to find out why there's a violation of federal law. MK Ultra was brought down here, it was commercialized, it was closed for reasons. These people were abused, the same thing that your people are, Frank. What he's talking about here is political mafia on this whole board, outside of Kathleen Backman and Mark Bunker. No, I know you're political mafia, okay? Illuminati, definition right there, okay? This whole thing, yes, I'll argue that with Carl than you, Frank. A better response out of him. He does not allow this. He'll put a padlock on the friggin' door with 2 guards sitting at the front door, and he doesn't allow them in the front door. And don't tell me that this is some kind of thing for Homeland Security. This is your fault. I told you to send these people to Scientologistan over a year ago, a separate country, Frank, a separate country with a lot of potential. You have the RPF is close to Abu Ghraib prison. You have an airfield, Frank, where they can land a spaceship on it, Frank. You got a little crow's nest up here. The way these guys play musical chairs, Frank, how are they going to get onto the spaceship, Frank? You know, you knew that what these people are doing. You knew they were raped. You knew they were abused. The shark in the movie Jaws was a whole lot better than these 2 guys. I mean, the shark, on the shark's defense, it only killed 2 people before Mayor Vaughn sent in, Sheriff Brody, which would be comparable to Mark Bunker, okay? He sends them in before the shark kills another 3 people, a total of 5 people. You've got killings going on from the 50s, Frank, and it just never ends. And you think this little, it's the MK Ultra fart test is what I call it. Okay, you get on an elevator, you're sitting on there with the judges of the Bean Bake-Off contest. You can't get out the elevator. What do? They act in the same response because of voice activation. Islamic fundamentalist has family values, okay, even with a bomb strapped to himself. These guys, like Beetlejuice, will swallow that bomb for breakfast, okay? They're singular, Frank. They listen to what they say. They will walk through the valley of death, Frank, and they'll pick a shiny quarter and they'll set it on the desk. You do not live in Jonestown, Gowanda, Frank. This is not Gowanda. This is Clearwater, Florida, and until Hamilton and Albritton screwed this up, you sided with this stuff. You stole $100 million. You stole it. Flat out. I'm looking at the 2 of you. I have the argument with the Commonwealth Country Club. How dare they allow you to come in? How dare they?
Mr. McGuire, did you fill out a comment card?
Fine. Whatever. Where's
Good evening. I'm Sheila Neisler with Catalyst, and my office is at the Ring in downtown Clearwater. And like many of you, I wear many hats. But thankfully, I only have one personality, and that includes a passion to serve the independent business owners, a group that makes Clearwater truly unique. Many see owning a business as the loneliest job in the world. But in reality, it's not so lonely, because each day, 11,000 Clearwater business owners get up, they have less than 10 employees, and with a goal to provide for their families, their employees, and their community. It's a noble goal, requiring commitment, dedication, and plain old hard work. It is in that spirit that I am partnering with Clearwater Business Spark and SCORE to reestablish in-person and online educational business classes at the Ring. Most everyone starts the new year with a sense of optimism, new goals, new energy, and new ambitions. In January, there's a lot of momentum. However, by the time March rolls around, I call it no-mentum, because 80% of all people's goals are in the rearview mirror by February 13th. People are back to their old ways and bad habits. Scientists have studied this relapse, this backsliding tendency, and have developed scientific solutions. The secret sauce, it's not willpower, it's wheel power. Good goals, great reasons for those goals, and even greater accountability. And that's why we'll be discussing it on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, with an in-person workshop at 9:30 and an online workshop at 11:30. I developed this workshop a number of years ago in partnership with UNC Asheville. I worked with the Community Development Funding Institution, a CDFI. They gave me their problem children, their bad loans. The turnaround of these clients was nothing short of amazing. And this summer, I will be leading the fourth cohort at the St. Pete Greenhouse. While there is no charge to attend, the education, networking, and information will be priceless. I'd like to thank Audra Aha and Denise Sanderson for their leadership, encouragement, and support of our small business economy. So come join us on March 17th. It's going to take a little bit more luck of the Irish to succeed this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be wearing green.
Anyone else for citizens to be heard?
Kayla and Charlie.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I think by now you know I'm the long-standing veterans advocate in Orangeville, which is a nice way of saying I'm kind of old, but I'm still standing. I do have updates on the matters I talked about last time, primarily for you, Mr. Mayor. I did attend the symposium at Hurlburt Field with all the principals, and the good news is this: getting to the main principal was Chief Smith, who's the senior enlisted for General Clark, and anybody in the military knows it's the senior enlisted that runs the show, and that's just the way it is. But he gave me some really good scoop. He said the third week in May, the soft week, is on. And of course, we do have a lot of protocols, and we will follow them, but it should go. And it's going to culminate in a banquet that you're aware of and your wife Teresa's attended. And again, I think you're the only mayor in the whole area that has done that, so it's important. I don't want to hear that you're a lame duck or anything. You are welcome, and we'll see that you're treated right and through the protocol, the VIP room. And certainly when I have a smaller luncheon, if you're available, it'll be for Tyrone Adderley, who's a good friend of mine, who was on the rescue for the Sante Raid, and winner of Distinguished Service Cross awarded by President Nixon. And there's also a bonus. Since I didn't have a dinner last time, they're going to have Mel Witt. Mel Witt was a sergeant major for General Schoonmaker. Before General Schoonmaker was a 4-star, and Mel Witt was a senior enlisted advisor. They were a place called Desert One on 25 April 1980 when Pete Schoonmaker was a mere captain. So, and he lives in the area, so this is going to be a double whammy in a really, really good way. And certainly hope you can attend. And actually, anybody can attend. It's a little pricey, and you have to dress up. I don't know if I can fit into my tux anymore after COVID. I didn't get COVID, but I got the 19 pounds. But we want to get people, especially if you're in Clearwater, to get involved in these things. But before that, we have another one that's on 25 March. It's sooner. It's Heaven Drop Banquet. And we're back on action with that. We get 400 paratroopers, and I was with the first group that went through it. And we combine this with the folks that make a living off of making art and clothes, how to use parachutes. And we get them together and we honor certain paratroopers from the past. And this time, it will be Gershom Faulkner. And he is the military liaison for Congressman Christ. I spoke with him. He accepted the honor. He'll be at my table with his family. Again, anybody who wants to attend can. You know, we don't discriminate in any way. And you get to learn a little bit more about these disabled folks that are incredible, and they think that we are incredible just because we jumped out. Oh, is that it?
That's
Is that
it.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Well,
you for all you do, and you know I'll be there to support our
Okay.
military in any way
Any
possible.
contact information, Chief Dan Slaughter has all the information on me or you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
What a surprise.
See, Mr. Laluba, you'd like to bat cleanup.
I'd like to what?
Bat cleanup.
Oh, yes. I forget you're a big sports guy. You've already announced me, and you already know that I aggravate you, so I don't have to go there.
So you say.
I'm going to go back and again and speak about the bad cop that is Byron Hatcher. He was the subject of a recent harassment complaint, and I'm going to read a excerpt from his sworn statement. And it starts on line 744, and this is in reference to his illegal traffic stop the night of November 5th, 2021. Lieutenant Johnson says, "Why was the stop done in that manner? What was the purpose? Were you just doing this like as a courtesy more or less? Or was it done in the," and at that point, Byron Hatcher interrupts Lieutenant Johnson and says, "It was not supposed to be a traffic stop. It was just more of me informing her to slow down due to the conditions of the weather. It was never meant to be a traffic stop. I think just because I did use my overheads to get her attention, I think at that point she thought it was a traffic stop. And then she decided to pull over. Which it was more me just trying to get her attention to say, hey, just slow down for the conditions." So he says in his sworn deposition twice it wasn't a traffic stop. Why does Slaughter think it was a traffic stop? There was no probable cause. There was no reasonable suspicion. There was no citation issued. There was no written warning issued. There was no license plate run. There was no radio call-in as is required, right, Mr. Slaughter? This was not a traffic stop. This was stalking and harassment by a Clearwater police officer in uniform, in his police car, and Byron Hatcher, by now you all know, because he didn't do his job when he hired him, he has a long history of this kind of bad conduct. So Mr. Jennings, this is a civil rights violation, pure and simple. And you need to do something about it. You're the new kid in town, and just, fair disclosure, this complainant is my daughter, so it is very personal. And this is a crappy letter that Slaughter wrote that you and I spoke of, that you said was going to be rewritten. I walked back to him, he says he doesn't know anything about it. How could that be? The Clearwater police are only interested in covering up bad actors within the department, and they will tell you all of the protections for the police department,
Thank you, Mr. Luba.
but there's not a lot for us.
Anyone else for citizens to be heard? All right. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I know that we normally don't respond, but, I've only got 2 meetings left. What are you going to do, fire me? Bottom line, I'm going to miss Jerry Maguire, but I wish before I left he would let me know where the $100 million I've stolen is and where the millions of dollars in Shell oil stock I'm supposed to have are, because I have not been able to find either of them. But I have got to address so that the public knows the process that Mr. Mikulik put forward. Yes, my brothers and I submitted an application and were awarded units out of the unit pool of the hotel pool at one time. We had an opportunity that did not come to fruition to build a new hotel. When that project did not come to fruition, we returned those units to the city. We didn't pay for those units when we were awarded them. We didn't get any money when we returned them to the city. Therefore, I had no financial gain in any way, shape, or form. And when the units were awarded to the chart house, I am required to vote because I have no financial gain in the matter. By the chart house getting it, I make no money. No one in my family gets one dime of that from that decision. And to accuse me of anything other than that is ludicrous, and I don't appreciate it. You filed an ethics complaint on me that was fully vetted, and it was thrown out because I did everything I was supposed to do by the law. I don't have to announce a conflict when I don't have one. The only time I have to announce a conflict is if I have a conflict. And I don't have one, didn't have one, still don't. And for you to be out telling the public otherwise is wrong. Now, I'm a public official, and there's a little higher bar, and I got to put up with it, but I also have the right to respond. And I don't appreciate it, and you are dead wrong with what you're telling people. It's been vetted in the courts. I did nothing wrong. The courts threw it out. Let it go. Thank you, I'm done.
All right, any items from the consent agenda, items 7.1 to 7.4, to be removed by the council or by citizens? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve 7.1 through 7.4.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.1.
Approve changes to the Patty for Pinellas 4 project list.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kayleen Castle, Budget Officer. This item is to approve revisions to the Penny for Pinellas project list to reallocate funding for the relocation and construction of a new city hall next to the Municipal Services Building. By ordinance, we are required to hold an advertised public hearing anytime there is a change in Penny for Pinellas project funding greater than $500,000. These changes proposed meet this criterion. The City Hall project is currently funded in the plan with $6,650,300 in Penny for Pinellas revenues. Based upon current budget estimates, additional funding will be required. A total of $16 million is proposed to be reallocated from the Utilities Infrastructure Project to bring the total Penny for Pinellas funding to $22,650,300 for City Hall replacement. The Utilities Infrastructure Project is proposed to be eliminated from the Penny project list. A total of $16 million planned to be funded in fiscal years 2021-22 through 2028-29 will be reallocated to the City Hall project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Ms. Castle? Anyone from the public speak to this item?
I wrote you the email, Mr. Hibbard.
And I responded, Mr. DeLuba.
You did, but I really don't understand why you're against the city hall, but you want to, in my opinion, wrongfully take $16 million from utilities, which is a enterprise funding entity, not tax supported, even though this was a tax grant, much like reclaimed water was, which was a complete debacle by the previous city manager. I don't know, where's Mr. Ravens? He can't even show up for this?
He's right there.
Where?
He's right
Oh,
there.
there he is. well, good, because I wanted him to be here. He has before requested enterprise funds to be used for things that are not supposed to be used for enterprise funds. They're two different things, Mr. Raven. You have an accounting degree, come on. To take this $16 million from utilities that was earmarked for it is just wrong. To use it for some other tax-supported capital project. And if there's $120 million in utility capital improvements fund, like Mr. Raven says, that's, kind of indicative of a criminal enterprise. Where'd that $120 million come from? I have an idea. From charging people for reclaimed water that they never get, for charging them for a minimum fee, delivered water when they don't use a drop. They collect a lot of money for doing nothing, for delivering nothing, and that's required under enterprise funding. If there's $120 million, sir, laying around that the utility department doesn't need, that's over $1,000 a head for every resident in the city of Clearwater. Give that money back to the citizens, or give it back to Penny for Pinellas. But you cannot just take it, Tinkerbell, get your wand out and take it from a enterprise-funded utility and go build City Hall. It's wrong, it's not right. I'm for City Hall, I want a City Hall, Mr. Hibbert doesn't. But it's got to be done correctly. And you cannot use any monies earmarked for a enterprise-funded utility and just wake up from a nightmare one night and we're going to take $16 million and we're going to move it over here and do something else with it.
For clarification for all you watching at home, the Penny for Pinellas list is developed every 10 years before referendums go out to the entire county. A portion of Penny for Pinellas money goes to the county, a portion goes to the city. This $16 million is Penny infrastructure tax money. This is not money that came from the utilities department because of people paying their utilities bill. This was a decision made by a previous council to put $16 million aside to help do additional projects in the utility department. The utility department does not believe that they need these $16 million, and that's why the city manager has recommended that we move these monies from the utility infrastructure into the City Hall project. Mr. Ravens just moves the money, he doesn't make the policy. The policy is made up here. Am I missing anything, Mr. Margolis?
No, that was well said, Mayor. I certainly take exception to the suggestion that I, as a city attorney, would ever allow this city, either this council, the city manager, or the finance director to do something illegal with public funds. That's completely incorrect. The money that's being used here, as you pointed out, is infrastructure sales tax money, which is called Penny for Pinellas. It is not utility enterprise funds. Mr. Ravens is probably one of the most faithful public servants I've ever met in my career. One of the most, I'd say, best stewards of public funds I've ever met in my career, and I've represented several communities in my career. So, he's sitting there like a gentleman, but that was, I felt, uncalled for. So.
And part of the transparency in this government is we have to go through a public hearing to make a change in any of the penny dollars. And penny dollars move around every penny cycle. We originally had $7.5 million in the penny back in 1999 for the 2010 cycle. Obviously, we never built the City Hall, but those monies moved elsewhere. So, anything you want to add, Mr. Jennings?
No, I would just like to add what Mr. Margolis just said about city staff, particularly Mr. Ravens. I have had the great good fortune of working with him now for over 4 months. I find him the most reputable and wonderful public servant, and so It is unfortunate in our positions that we get castigated by certain members of the public, but I definitely want the citizens of Clearwater to know what a terrific finance director and budget officer that we have in the city.
Very good. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.1.
I gladly second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.2.
Approve the request from the owner of property address 2427 Timbercrest Circle East, Clearwater, to vacate a portion of the 10-foot wide platted drainage and utility easement and a portion of the 5-foot wide platted utility easement located on lot 156 Woodgate of Countryside, Unit 1, and pass ordinance 9552-22 on first reading.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Suzanne Kramer, Real Estate Services Coordinator. Purpose of this vacation is to provide space for concrete pavers for a pool deck and pool equipment. There are no city utilities located within the easement. City staff have reviewed the request and have no objection.
Any questions from council on item 8.2?
No.
Anyone from the public speak to item 8.2? Do I have a motion?
Move, do we read the ordinance first?
We should probably read it first.
Yes.
Ordinance number 9552-22, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a portion of the 10 feet wide platted drainage and utility easement and a portion of the 5 feet wide platted utility easement located on lot 156 Woodgate of Countryside, Unit 1, according to the map or plat thereof in Plat Book 70, pages 13 and 14, Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Move approval of the agenda item 8.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.1. Mr. Margolis.
Ordinance number 9519-22, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning outlets of the city by zoning certain real property located on the north side of Turner Street, approximately 180 feet east of South Myrtle Avenue, whose post office address is 806 Turner Street, Clearwater, Florida, 33756, from office O District to medium density residential MDR, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public speak to item 9.1? Motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 9519-22 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.2.
Ordinance number 9530-22, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a portion of the 5 feet wide platted drainage and utility easement located on lot 76 Westchester Countryside, according to the map or plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 70, page 44, Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public speak to item 9.2? Motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 9.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.3.
9.3, ordinance number 9553-22, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, relating to city administration, amending section 2.036 of the Clearwater Code, providing for severability and an effective date.
Anyone from the public speak to item 9.3? See none. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of agenda item 9.3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Anything else, Mr. Jennings?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Margolis?
No, sir.
Closing comments. I'll start from my right tonight. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, the only other point I was going to make is I think when Mr. Smith-Levin was up here, he's trying to tie the article to the headline, and we don't have control over who writes the headlines, and when it's a misleading headline, that's not on us. So keep that in mind when you're reading the newspaper.
Councilmember Albrecht?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell people that PSTA and the city have partnered for free park and ride trolley service to Clearwater Beach. Started March 1st through April 30th. So if you don't want to fight to get into the beach, you could go to City Hall, park free there, and every 10 minutes you could catch a trolley going to the beach and then coming back. Monday through Thursday, it's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then Friday through Sunday, it's 10 a.m. through midnight.
a great opportunity to not pay us for parking out on the beach if you're interested. So, Councilmember Beckman.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the deadline to register or request a mail ballot is March 5th. So you can go online and do that, or you can call the supervisor of election tomorrow. They're not open Saturday, so you'd have to do it online on Saturday. If you have your mail ballot, please be sure to vote. You don't need to put a stamp on it if you want to vote and pop it in the mail, or you can drop it off at an SOE office, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, right here on Court Street. You can drop it off. As always, you can register to vote anytime. There's a Comic-Con that's going to be at Ross Norton Rec Center this Saturday. I plan to go, stop in. I've never been to a Comic-Con, but I heard they're kind of fun, so.
What's your outfit going to be?
I'm not dressed, no.
Oh, you can't go if you're not dressed.
No, I don't have anything, no. And then the most important thing is I wanted to wish a happy birthday to a good friend of mine. Her name is Sarah Baker. She's in 2nd grade at Sandy Lane Elementary. She's going to be 8 on Saturday. 8 is pretty great. Sarah and I work together. We feed the homeless on Friday nights, and she's been a good friend. And she comes to our city council meetings almost every single Thursday that we have our council meetings. She takes notes. She asks her parents questions after the meeting. She's a great example of civic engagement at 7 and 8 years old. So I just want to wish her a very happy birthday. She's right here tonight and probably ready to go out to dinner after.
Happy birthday, Sarah. I got to see Sarah at school this week. I got to go to Sandy Lane and read a Dr. Seuss book. So it was great to be with all of them. We have had a lot of great events in the city recently. I want to thank all of our staff for the softball invitational that we had. ESPN was there. Clearwater looked great. We had 4 of the top 10 teams in ladies softball from around the country. So it was a really super event. Also, we've had the Philadelphia Union practicing here for soccer. So we're kind of their spring training home as well. I want to thank Ruth Eckert Hall. They had a great annual dinner to talk about all of their achievements, and recovering from COVID in the theater business obviously has been very difficult. I also want to thank all of the folks that came out for the North Greenwood CRA. We had a really great crowd, a lot of good engagement, and we look forward to the next step in that process. I know the aquarium had a dynamite fundraiser. They're raising money to create habitats for, I'm blanking, manatees, thank you. So that will be a great thing so that they can help manatees recover. And then we also opened up Countryside Little League and Clearwater Little League this past Saturday. It was great to see all the youngsters out there, and Councilmember Albritton already mentioned the trolley. And I want to congratulate Dr. William Rice of Calvary Baptist. He has been nominated to become the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, which is probably a job he would regret if he gets it, but we'll see what happens there. I also got to install the auxiliary at the VFW 10308, which is they call it the graveyard installation because they've got graveyards on both sides of the VFW. But the auxiliary goes out and really helps our veterans with mental issues, with housing, with making certain that they get all of their benefits that they deserve. So we thank them for re-engaging an auxiliary, which has been missing for 15 years. And it has been mentioned that I have already said that I am not going to run again. And somebody mentioned lame duck earlier. I want to tell people, I've only missed one meeting in my over 12 years of being on the city council. And that's only because the city wouldn't let me show up. I was COVID negative, but that was our policy at the time, and that's fine. But I will work as hard as humanly possible until the very last day of my office. And I will make decisions until that very last day. And some people will say, well, you're a lame duck, or you're going out, you shouldn't make decisions. You are the mayor until somebody else takes your place as mayor. So everybody ought to just be prepared that I am not going to slow down one iota in the next 2 years until I'm out. So I just want people to understand that. But I also thought it was good to announce it at this time, especially for my family and my wife, who have been wonderful and are wonderful to all of us up here. This at times is a thankless job. People can make allegations and say things that aren't true or unfounded, and it's most difficult on our families because they have to watch it. So I thank my wife and all of your spouses and our loved ones for allowing us to take the time to do this and hopefully make a difference for the city of Clearwater. With that, we are adjourned. God bless.